Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you to Jackie and HSMAI for the invitation. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about cost of sales, focusing on cost of sales for your rooms, and a few minutes on what you can do about controlling it. Now, my session will follow this outline. I'll give you a very brief introduction of myself and the company, talk about cost of sales in general, and then talk about a little bit some strategies that you can use to control that cost of sales. At the end, we'll have a session if you want to ask any questions. So Rainmaker is a company that's been in business for about 20 years. We supply profit optimization solutions to the hotel and gaming industries. I myself have been living and working in Asia for about 30 years, working for several organizations, both in the field of technology, PMS, CRS, distribution, OTAs, and revenue management systems. Now, what my session will not be about is beating up the OTAs. I've been to too many of these sessions. I think we're at a stage now where the industry should be at ease with the fact that you need partners to distribute your product. So if we look at distribution, this is really the crux of the cost of sales. You have a hotel here in Bangkok. Your customers are not from Bangkok generally. They're from Europe, they're from the rest of Asia, they're from the US, and you somehow have to distribute your product to these consumers all over the world. Now, it would be great if all of them just walked into the hotel and said, how much does it cost? And you can sell directly. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. The reality is you get these customers through a whole series of different mechanisms, and each one of these mechanisms is a little bit different. So we have one of the first types of distribution was voice. So we had back in the 70s and 80s the emergence of the 1-800 number, which today still people call centers to make bookings. We also have the brand.com. So if your hotel is part of a chain, Accor.com or Starwood.com or MandarinOriental.com, those customers will come to your branded site to book hotels. We also have the global distribution systems, primarily connected to corporate travel agencies. We have your CRS distribution to a whole series of other channels, and our friends, the OTAs. Now, each of these intermediaries have not only different cost structures, but they also have different types of consumers. And these different types of consumers are willing to pay different rates. So generally, GDS is a form of distribution for corporates, and you will tend to sell premium products. So not only do you need to look at your distribution as a cost, but also as an opportunity to sell your inventory at different rates. Now, when we think of cost of distribution, we have to go back to our first day at business school or first day at accounting class or finance class and think of this very important graph. I always get people tell me, oh, if I go through an OTA, I have to pay a 20% commission, but if I get a booking that comes directly to me, it's free. And it's not really free. Where it becomes free is where that variable cost crosses the fixed cost, sorry, up here. Because when we talk about free, or when we talk about variable costs, in a hotel, we have costs that we can't get away from. These are things like labor costs, so you have a sales team, you have a head of technology, you have all of these fixed costs which are there whether you have bookings or not. And you also have a lot of technology in-house, which again is a fixed cost. When we look at variable costs in the area of distribution, we have up here, we have variable costs like booking fees that have to be paid to CRSs. We have some outsourced cloud-based technology. And we also have the famous commissions. So every time you get that roll of coins coming into the hotel, someone is taking a cut off the top. And that is really what people are often focusing on attacking. Yet, the fixed costs sometimes are larger if you're not getting a significant amount of bookings directly. Sorry. So when you think of your costs, it's really a balancing act. You can't just say, I want all of my bookings directly, because that won't work. You need to balance how you're getting that distribution. Now, I often hear people say, oh, well, you know, we're going to do everything directly. And the important thing to realize is that to own the customer, you need data. And we talked about it in a session earlier today. There's a lot of data in hotels. You have all this information in your property management system, in your POS, in your reservation systems, on social media. But pulling that information together is a huge challenge. And it's a huge challenge for the industry. And in order to get that direct distribution back, to get that ownership of the customer, you need to get your hands around that data. Once you have your data, you need to make sure that that data is clean. Now, we often see situations where there's not enough attention being paid to getting the information about the guests. You will never be able to take third-party bookings, transform them into direct bookings without making sure that the data you have in your hotel is clean. Now, to transition to what you can do about it, in your hotels, either through revenue management systems or through your revenue manager or other people in the organization, you're forecasting. You're looking at your business out into the future, and you're forecasting it either in a simple way or very sophisticated manner. But by understanding your forecast, not only can you control pricing, but you can also start to look at the mix of business you're letting into your hotel. So if you know that for a particular peak period, you're going to fill up with direct segments, you can start to restrict the amount of indirect bookings you get. So rather than thinking about revenue management as being this forecasting of business, and when you forecast that you're going to be full, you just raise the price, you can start to shift that focus to saying, what kind of business do I want in my hotel during that period of time? And then you also bring marketing into the picture. If you're doing good forecasting, if you know that during a certain period of time, you will be able to get so many direct bookings, or a period of time you have an area of weakness, you bring in digital marketing, which is a very effective and fast way of getting new business in, so you can push special offers. You can start to control what happens to the hotel rather than to passively wait for a third-party partner like an OTA or GDS or others to push business into you. So it's really that loop of saying, how am I getting my business? Forecasting what segments come into the hotel, and then saying, how can I now control who comes in at what period of time? That's really the winning formula for hotels today. So that was my presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, no questions. Okay, thank you very much.